Yes, welcome back, folks, to the Boise Bus. I'm about 200% certain that it's Friday night tonight, so you know what that means, folks. It is time for that Friday feeling on the bus, and Friday night tradition, the Holy Trinity, as Brendan Rodgers would say, is back. Yeah, well, a throwback here. It happens every so often, so lucky you if you chose to join in tonight, because yes, look who's on. Joining me, of course, Canada's favourite Tim's always, the wise man of the bus. Liam,
Yes.
Friday night tradition, Friday night heritage. How you doing, mate?
Friday feeling, mate. I'm feeling it. Aye, feeling it since Thursday. All good today. Feeling we're going to have to. This is always the end of the week. So, Russell, you know, this is the maddest takes that we get. Last chance to throw some shit. So, yeah, let's see.
I don't know about that. I did it Thursday with Mark, so.
Let's see what we got left.
And of course, Russell, you've joined us tonight. Welcome back on to Friday nights,
man.
my man. How are you feeling tonight? How the devil are you?
Yes, all good, Phil. All good, mate. So it's a wee month of teetotalness. So I'm like, Friday night, what else am I going to do but jump on the bus with the main man himself? And of course, look at Big Liam tonight. He's looking like more like epic than ever. I don't know why. You're looking feeling more wisdom than ever tonight. It's just looking the part tonight, man. Definitely.
It's a sweeps weeks. I've seen all the Ask Him awards show stuff was up lately, so I'm thinking we could be out for an award, so you never know.
It's award-winning content.
You know.
As indeed, so a shadow of a doubt. And if you want to help us in that award-winning content, folks, you know what you can do. You do all that good stuff, helps us out. So hit that like button, helps us out with old algorithms on YouTube. Of course, get involved in our comment section tonight. Let's have a wee roll call and see who's in this evening. We've got Alan Mockwa's in, we've got Michelle, Jim Dole, and Jim C is in. 420 somewhere. Smell the Glove is in. Patrick Kerrigan is in, as is, who else did I see? I thought I saw somebody else that was a regular. Oh, Denise is in as well. So there we go. We roll call of who's all in. And yeah, more people are coming in as I speak. Of course, you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. If you're a new viewer and you like what we do, then hit the subscribe button. We're not too far off of 5,000 the last time I checked.
I think we're about 24 away.
Oh, there you
go. 24 away for 5,000.
Getting closer. So yeah, help us out with that one, folks. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Hit the bell notification. Be reminded when the bus is on the road. And of course, you can head over to piesports.com and you can still use the code BUS1888 and you'll still get 12.5% off all your tasty pastry treats. And yes, with all that said and done, Liam, I know you like this bit. Would you like a wee guess the player to get the brain stimulated on this fine Friday night? I'm sure you would. Let's go for it. Okay, so tonight's player, he's got a career with 6 clubs in it, and it is this: Celtic, Leeds United, Hibs, Hamilton Accies, Kilmarnock, and that's Clyde that's hidden behind that Friday feeling banner. So get that way there. So yeah, started at Celtic, then went to Leeds, then Hibs, Hamilton Accies, Kilmarnock, and Clyde. Tonight's hidden player. Of course, we will come back to the answer. No. Okay. Answer at the end of the show. We'll come back and have a wee chat about the answer when we get to it. So yeah, so that's one to get the viewers going, and of course we will revisit that in about an hour's time. Okay, well, that's said and done. Yeah, let's get into a Friday feeling. Of course, tonight we'll be talking about the Ross County game. We'll be playing them tomorrow. Well, the games are just coming freaking fast right now. So yeah, we're off to Ross County tomorrow. Before let's just have a wee chat about just some of the events that's going on. And Liam, what a scoosh this Premier League title race is. You know, a week ago, we were just off the back. We're having a therapy session last Friday. Remember, Liam? Last Friday was a Friday night therapy. You know, getting on people in. We were like, okay, let's just reconvene after what happened on Thursday. Let's collect ourselves here and looking at where we go. And here we are a week later, mate. And Celtic haven't even had to really get out of second gear in the last couple of games. And somehow we now find ourselves, we've actually gained a point on where we were before we went to Ibrox. We're now 15 points in front. As I say, bit of a scoosh this, isn't it, Liam?
Aye, you know, it's a weird feeling. You know, I've had it before. I remember years ago in Toronto, when the Olympics were in Atlanta, there was Donovan Bailey and Michael Johnson, and from some reason, it went from the world's fastest man was always 100 meters guy to it was no, it's American guy. It's the 200 meters guy because he won that, right? And so they had a race with the two of them at the Sky Dome. And it was like massive, it had worldwide attention. And then when they started it, bang, so they're going at 150 metres or something to sort of break the difference. And as soon as Donovan Bailey just burst away, Michael Johnson pulled up. I was like, like, you don't know if he just overshot himself, like trying so hard, or it's just like you couldn't cope with the pressure and he just bailed it. And that is the sort of feeling that you're getting right now. It's like, okay, come on. Like, I put up a fight, you know? It's like we've had the papers, we've had everything. I mean, they did put up a fight against us, but it just shows you how bad we were on the day now. And they've got a hard time playing away from home. That's what it really comes down to. And that's bottle, and that's management, and that's everything. And, you know, I'm glad we're benefiting from it, but I would have rather seen us pick up our game, because our game right now, we're doing all right. I mean, we're doing great. We're 15 points ahead, right? Entitled. And, you know, but, you know, it's all about the way you play for Celtic and the way Celtic play and all that. And I'm thinking, I'd hate for our standards to drop just because they've dropped off the edge of the cliff, you know, that they've just gave up.
Yeah, well, the way I'm looking at it, we've got the next 3 games in particular to get this to get as sharp as we can be, because obviously this Young Boys of Bern game's coming up, which has now effectively become a cup final. Pretty much, this is the big one. So we've got 3 games between now and then to just make sure we are absolutely on top of our game. Because even though they will come to Celtic Park bottom of the Champions League table with 0 points, they will still want to have something to show for their efforts in the Champions League. So we don't want to be that team that gets caught cold that night. So yeah, we've got 3 games to get back on the ball. But Russell, interestingly, a couple of weeks ago, not even a couple of weeks ago, because it felt that long ago, because that many games have happened. But obviously last week we were on PMP after that debacle at Ibrox. And funny enough, Terry, I know you and Terry love a good wee bicker back and forth. It's always it's like a married couple. But he did predict on the PMP, he said, they'll probably end up dropping points in the next 2 games and everything will be back to normal. And Terry, Nostradamus over there, he actually got it bang on the money. Are you even surprised, really, that this has happened? That, yeah, they've somehow capitulated and we've not even had to really get a second gear in the last couple of games. And hey, here we are, sitting pretty again.
I don't know if you can hear the cat purring into the microphone. It's literally like he was doing that deliberately there. But anyway, I do think it's a surprise that they've fallen off this bad. See, to be fair, history tells you when it gets a wee bit nip and tuck, they fall away. And then their best form comes when there's no pressure on. So the sort of template was there for this to happen. But I've got to be honest, such was the manner that they beat us. I'm a bit surprised that they're still incapable of taking confidence even for that. And they seem to have really it seems to have re-energized their nerves. It seems to have brought their nervous system back down to an all-time low again. It's fascinating to watch. I can't put my finger on how a side can turn up and really look at it from a Celtic prism, right? And Celtic were shite and we didn't do things right and all that, and I get that. However, their performance, to be fair to them, was shit hot. There's no getting away from it. They set traps for us. They knew they were well drilled on how we would play. They sussed it. They did very well in the cup final by scoring 3. They repeated the trick to score 3 against the best team in Scotland, and yet put them away from home against anyone in that league right now, and drop points is on the menu. Their next away game, I believe, is Dundee United, who I think are just directly below them in the league as it stands. And now, based on what we've seen, and such as the points difference, you wouldn't put anything past them dropping points again. But and the reason for that I say that, because it kind of contradicts it, because when they're 15 points behind, there's no pressure again, really, because the league's gone. But the other reason that there is pressure is actually a separate one, and that's because there's so much focus now on their manager. And what the focus on their manager is doing is shining a light on how skint are you. Because no way does a manager with 13 points, a point more than Ross County have on their travels this season, for a Rangers side, that record and 15 points behind by the 9th of January, that's sackable. End of story. You go. You get your jotters. You're gone. And the fact he's still there will have them now asking loads of various questions as to the whys and the why nots that he's not been removed. So therefore, there's a completely different set of pressure on them now. And I do fancy by the end of January, the points gap to be bigger. I think Celtic, as I take Liam's point that we still want to see the best quality of Celtic. I did see an upturn in the midweek match. I'll be honest with you. I did see an upturn from Celtic in terms of the manner of their football. I did think it was more purposeful. It was more at it. But I still think what we've shown when there's been the slump in form has been we know how to get the job done. Albeit there was a draw at Tannadice, and I get that can happen. But other than that, I think we've got enough to get the job done in our cluster of away fixtures that I'm guessing we're going to have over the next sort of 5 to 6 weeks, because we've had 4 out of the last 5 at home. But in that time when they play their away games, their home record's as good as ours. It's the exact same. They've drawn one and they've won the rest. But I think on the road, even any game that they've got right now, with the other pressures and the other focuses they're now getting from the fan groups and protests, and apparently there's a Lark Call group that want to boycott Ibrox, I think, this weekend. My mate at work was reliably telling me he's a season ticket holder there. I just think with all that, that's actually adding a different type of pressure. I mean, there's any type of pressure on them, they fold. Like a pack of cards, you could say.
Yes, indeed. Yes, I'm going to say a wise man once, but he certainly wasn't a wise man, was he? Let's be honest. And also, it's a house of cards to that wise man as well. Because when he said a pack of cards, it's like, no, if it's a pack of cards, it would just be sitting. Don't do anything. House of cards. But anyway, yeah, they're having all sorts of trouble right now.
That's a great point. Never thought of that.
Yeah, they're having all sorts of problems. But yeah, as you know, the world's smallest violin playing for them right now. So loving it. Fantastic. Let's talk about what we can do.
Very quickly, while we're still talking about it, Phil, sorry. I'd put in a wee point in the chat, and I think you'd agreed with it. So it's just interesting to chat about it while still alive. The more I look at their results since the 3-0 win, the more I get the feeling, if you were to contrast and compare it, I think it's like when we obviously did a better job, but we scalped them 5-1 under Venglos. Yes. And then really, we were nowhere near challenging that league. It was an anomaly of that season, but it was a sensational one-off performance and a brilliant result that will last long in the memory. And I think, to their credit, it will last long in the memory, such was the nature of the win, because it was so one-sided. And I think if I was to compare it to anything, that's what I would compare that to. It's when we got that 5-1 win under Venglos, such as how far behind they are, as we were back in the 98-99 season.
I think when we did the Nostalgia episode on that season, when I did all my research for it, I was stunned to find out we went into that game, and I believe we were double points figures behind them, which sounds familiar. You know, it's like the parallels are there. No pressure on us that day in 1998, and yeah, we just absolutely battered them. But yeah, it's a very, very good comparison, no doubt about it. You said it earlier on, I was like, geez, oh man, that's spot on. And like I said, that we were on the PMP, I said, remember Martin Neal's treble winning first season, his first domestic loss that season was a 5-1 scudding at Ibrox. And I say that was the only one they got over us that season, because we beat them in every other match we played them in. So yeah, it could just be a one-off. At the end of the season, if this season pans out how we think it looks like it's going to, will anybody on our side really be talking about it again? Go, God, what are I doing? Nobody cares, as the saying goes. Nobody cares, mate. So yeah, it's just we're just playing the world's smallest violin for them. So get it up them. But yeah, Liam, I was going to say, like, what can we do? Obviously, let's talk about transfers. Let's talk about some rumours. Let's talk about a left back again, Liam. I know that you love a left back chat on the Friday night, but no, it's about Kieran Tierney. There's an update on it tonight. It looks like it's going to be a pre-contract deal Celtic are still pushing for, and not pre-contract and then loan. Now, don't get me wrong, the dynamic could change. I think Celtic are looking at getting the deal finalised first, so he's guaranteed to be coming in the summer. Celtic might then go to Arsenal and try and push to get him on loan, because my feeling is, with the sort of sketchy, let's be honest, injury record of Kieran Tierney, you want to try and get him in for the 6 months and get him up to speed, because again, when we win this league, we've got qualifiers to play in the Champions League in the summer. we're not guaranteed to walk into this new lucrative Champions League. You know, we're not going to be there guaranteed. So we need to play qualifiers. And to me, if Kieran Tierney's definitely coming in the summer and he isn't going to play a minute at Arsenal for the rest of the season, realistically, then I think if Celtic can get that deal done and agreed, they should be going to Arsenal and just saying, well, give us on loan for the rest of the season. There's no reason for Arsenal to go, oh, no, we want to keep him. Because Mikel Arteta's made it pretty clear. He does not want Kieran Tierney. He doesn't rate Kieran Tierney. That's his prerogative, whatever. But yeah, the latest from Anthony Joseph and Sky Sports is both sides are pushing pretty hard to get this done. Everything seems, the harmony all seems pretty good. There isn't any real issues, they feel. So it looks like it's going to get done, but I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that he will appear before the end of the window, at least on loan to the end of the season.
So, Phil, yeah, I've seen all that as well, too. I'm disappointed. I wanted this. I figured this should have been one of the first 2 days of January signings. Get it done. You've got a relationship with the player, the club. You know, what's to negotiate? What are you doing, right? The other thing is, are we 100% sure he's coming in as a replacement for the left back? You know, could he be coming in as sort of that upgrade on Scales Trusty, thinking that, okay, if you move him back to that position, is that less wear and tear on the body, running up and down the wing, and with the hammer throwers he's going to play against with St Johnstone and Ross County and Kilmarnock and that? You know, so is that the approach maybe, where he's coming in for the back line and we're still maybe looking for a left back? Or, God forbid, keep going with what we have? I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I don't want to be entitled, Phil. I'm 100% sure you watched the Friday Feel and that was aimed at me. I've never seen him so angry. It's like Brendan.
Were your ears burning there, were they?
Mate, I could feel it. I could feel like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I resemble that remark.
Well, the thing is, he does play. He has played centre back before. He has played there. He's a bit of a. He's also even played on the right. I remember playing for Scotland on the right as well. So it's like Kieran Tierney's a bit of a jack of all trades at the back line. But yeah, as I said, I was talking to David and Regan on Tuesday night when we were talking about that press conference last week. Those post-match comments. The biggest red flag for me essentially was obviously talking about the disrespect to Greg Taylor and whatnot. And I say there's plenty of evidence. And I know then you should always be like, until the player's officially signed, don't get ahead of yourself. We've seen it enough times with Celtic. But I just feel like there's enough evidence, enough smoke in the air, to prove that there's a fire going on here where you're like, they have to be in for him. We've seen the Stephen McGowan, one of the go-to guys in the media for us, saying that it's happening. So Anthony Joseph tonight's talking about it. So I was thinking, with the way Brendan put all that out there, my worry was, what if Greg Taylor, what if Kieran Tierney does turn up this month and he is surely coming in to replace Greg Taylor after you've told us about how important Greg is and how you want him to stay. And then, Brendan's told us, Russell, that he approves every single signing. He's happy with the transfer policy. He always has the final say. So then it's like, well, you've just kind of, got stuck into the fans and bigged up Greg Taylor and then brought in a guy that we would expect to replace Greg Taylor, because I wouldn't imagine Tierney's coming on to sit in the bench for however long it would be. So that was the thing that always worried me about it. But I think Liam makes a fair point about as he comes back to set back now. Personally speaking, I don't think that, I'll just refer to him as that left back won't be here next season. I still think that he's going to go. I looked up the news tonight to see if there was any stories. Apparently he's still favouring leaving. Which again, fair play if he does. But how are you feeling about the latest Kieran Tierney stuff anyway, Russell? I again, as I say, I want us to push to try and get him on loan, because I think it just makes all the sense in the world because of his fitness record with the Champions League qualifiers. But how do you think it will play out, mate?
I think they want to get it rubber stamped that he signed the pre-contract and then go, look, I think that will strengthen their hand, but it'll depend on whether Celtic are willing to let a first-team player leave for free, which they don't tend to do. Celtic will look at getting £500,000, £1 million for Greg Taylor in January, still has paid his wages for the last 2 years, or last year. Do you know what I mean? Whatever it's 2 years probably you get. I think they would still be inclined to try and sell Taylor in January rather than let him go for free, just as a point of principle, aside to the Tierney thing. But what then might factor in is, if we've got a left-back joining in the summer and he's signed the pre-contract, and maybe we need to force this one home, I don't think Arteta would be difficult to deal with. There's a dislike there. And I can't, I never get into the petty stuff. I generally, I've got a hunch there is a Celtic Rangers divide between Arteta and Tierney. It's the only thing I can put it down to, mate, that he doesn't feature in his plans whatsoever. Apparently, Tierney's been fit since the summer. Now, if you look, whenever his name was trending on Twitter or whatever, just click on it. It's always majority, aside for the Celtic ones, from the Arsenal fans will be get Tierney in the starting 11, play Tierney. They all still seem to not see what Arteta is in him, or not seeing in him. And it's a strange situation he finds himself there. So I think we get the rubber stamp on the pre-contract, and then we go, look, let's talk about the here and now. If he's not in your plans, he's willing to come on loan. We'll pay a smidgen of his wage. You can cover the rest, or sever his contract early. Sever his contract early and come up with some sort of package that suits both parties, because he's leaving anyway. And Tierney might waive a small percentage of that or something. Who knows? I think as well, in terms of Tierney coming in, I'm still not getting the negativity towards this boy coming back. This is a Celtic player who was overplayed for his age. And we've seen this time and again throughout football. When players are first team regulars at 17, 18, first team regulars and getting 40, 50, 60 games demanded of them, yeah, we look at them as older people now and go, you should be fit as a fiddle then. But you're still growing, your body's still developing. And you always see when they get to the mid to late 20s, regular injuries cropping up. Now, that's on Celtic to a point, because we shouldn't have been in a position at any point of Celtic's recent past, such as the financial riches that the clubs still had, even under Dyla. We still had plenty of money in the bank. They should not have had to rely on a guy that young to be starting that many games. Regardless if he was too good to ignore, you still then manage him properly and you bleed him into the team more. Now, we gave him a stage, of course, as well. And that's what's led him to a blockbuster £25 million move. But we banked that £25 million. So we got £25 million for the guy that we overplayed probably in the youth of his career. And all he wants to do is come home, take a quarter of the wages, probably it'll be likely that he's on at Arsenal to do so. And I do believe, for me, I don't think people can call it sentiment. It's bullshit. The player's that fucking good as well. But secondly, yes, I do think there's a wee bit of me that goes, have you not made enough of Tierney so far that you could justify giving him the rest of his career at Celtic on modest wages for, as Mark says, and I totally agree with, on his game, a world-class defender. And if that is the reality of it. And I think there's a sense of me that goes, it's a very small price to pay. You have made crazy profit on this guy, no matter how long a deal you give him when he returns. You've made crazy profit on him as an individual. So you're in the green with Kieran Tierney forever, right? No two ways about it. And secondly, what he brings to that squad, if and when fit, is a joke compared to what we've got right now. It is not levelling up. It is universally levelling up. It is a different stratosphere of left back. And I think people have forgotten just how good this guy is. And I do go back to it. People could call it sentiment or whatever. But my honest take on it is, I think there should be a bit of good faith to a guy we have made a crazy amount of money on, that we relied on far too heavily in a young part of his career. He put his body on the line for Celtic. It's time Celtic put out a bit for KT and make it return. And if that means having to spend some sort of fee to make the deal happen earlier in January, then fucking do it. Do it and upgrade the squad. Because see, every other position or every other player we link with, we expect Celtic to go and spend money in January to upgrade the squad. So if Kieran Tierney could come in January and it means we're upgrading the squad and it means you have to shell out a couple of £1 million as a nominal transfer fee, get that paid and all. There's nothing stopping us. And as I go back to, you will always have made an absolute packet on that youth player, whilst also probably being semi-responsible for the injuries that have ravaged the most recent years of his career. That's on Celtic, because there was no one that came close to an 18-year-old that could compete at left back for Celtic. That's ridiculous. So I think there is a wee bit of, come home, KT, we look after you. And we've still made, and the business guys, the bean counter guys, have all still made their healthy profit on him as well.
It's what big clubs do. Speculate to accumulate. As I said, we are going to have to play qualifiers for the Champions League, and the money that comes with that. And the Celtic board know that all too well. If there's a guy there, Kieran Tierney, who's a massive upgrade at left back, who needs the games to be fit and ready, and it's going to be a case of, well, we can't say go to these qualifiers cold, it makes all the sense in the world, because if we qualify, we will reap the benefits from it, Celtic. It's that simple. Any money you've had to shell out to get him up here early, whatever, pay him a higher wage than you would expect to, it'll all be worth it at the end, as long as we get into that Champions League, because that is so crucial. We've seen it this year. We're being in this new format. We quite like it. We're quite enjoying it, to be honest. I want to try that again. I don't want to be on the outside looking in next season and the season after that. I want us to be involved in this. It's quite enjoyable, this new Champions League format.
It is. Can I just quickly ask you a wee question, because you'll know and I don't. The fact that he's maybe been in the Champions League squad for Arsenal, I'm not actually sure if he even was. Would that make him still eligible? That wouldn't make him eligible to play for us now, then, would it? If he's named, is he named in that?
If he's been in it, but I have a funny feeling he won't have been named in it. I just feel like with the way he's been treated at Arsenal,
Can someone find that out in the chat?
See, Graham Martin has said that if we beat Young Boys, KT can play in the next Champions League games. He says, just with the way Arteta's behaved with him, I feel that he won't be registered, to be honest. The only game he started all season was in the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace. I know he was on the bench the other night. In fact, he was on the bench against Newcastle Carabao Cup game, so maybe he can only play cup games, like domestic cup, because he's not registered for the Premier League squad, because I don't think he's made any appearances in that. And he's not, I don't think he's made the appearance in the Champions League. I don't think he will have. So just Arteta, just with the way he's been, as you said, there's clearly something there. Although I don't know if it's necessarily a Celtic Rangers thing. It might be, but Arteta's been a bit weird with. I mean, he's won one trophy as Arsenal manager during when he took over from Unai Emery, and all those players that won him that trophy, including KT, he's binned every one of them. And even though he's made Arsenal on paper and to the eye a better team to watch, and they seem better, but they're still not getting anywhere near the trophies. I mean, they beat by Newcastle through the week in a semi-final, first leg, so they've got it all to do now. But it's quite interesting that all the players that have won his one and only trophy as Arsenal manager, his team's not good enough and binned them all off, so includes KT in that one. So, but yeah, I just don't feel that he'll be in their Champions League squad. I just don't think he will be. So, if that's the case, he will be able to play for us. He can be registered because he didn't play the Champions League game, but I'd be shocked if he has been registered. But yeah, speaking of left backs, though, no, not Greg Taylor. Bernabei, apparently a deal's pretty much in place now. So hey, all the money we can put that towards KT as well. There you go. That would be fantastic. Because again, what a bonus that was, Liam. That one fell on our lap out of nowhere. God's sake.
I mean, good on him. So many times you see players like that from ours go out on loan, and then that's the last you hear of them. They disappear into obscurity. Good for him for taking the chance and doing it. I remember seeing this highlight reel. I always thought there was a player there. You know, I don't know when he played really, really bad to get some of the vitriol you hear on this podcast, you know, and I don't see nothing wrong that I haven't seen Greg Taylor do 40 bloody times. You know what I mean? So if there wasn't a repetition factor, you know, I've never seen him make the same mistake twice. But anyway, I don't know. Some people need to settle into a team. I looked at that team that played against, was it Falkirk, where it was like minus 16 or something, you know, and the howling winds and the freezing cold. And I think that's one of the things when you get these players for southern climates, unless we're getting them coming through Finland or Russia or something like that, if they're coming straight for the continent, I played in Toronto sometimes when it was minus 10, and you see right away we had a lot of Jamaican players in their team. Did not like it, surprisingly. You know, it just made no sense to play in that colder weather to go out and play sports. You know, it's like playing hockey. So I think it could be one of the cold nights, and, you know, that we talk about in Kilmarnock, you know, Rugby Park or something. Can he do it then? One of the things, and I think what you're seeing is some players can't do it then. And I think he's one of the players. He's a hot player. You know?
Did he not score a screamer in Dingwall? Funnily enough,
actually,
ironically. It's the only notable. Typical Liam.
What a goal it was, man.
Remember that?
I heard him going numb. He didn't know what to do.
Do you know what his goal was like? And funny enough, we'll just talk about Arsenal. Do you remember a left back for them called Silvinho? Do you remember him, a Brazilian left back? In fact, Russell probably knows date of birth.
74.
He scored an unbelievable goal from outside the area against Chelsea with outside of his left foot, and that's what Bernabei did at Ross County. He just ran on it outside of the left foot, and you saw the curve in the ball, the way it bent in at the near post, and it was like, geez, oh. So yeah, where did that come from, Bernabei? But yeah, he seems to have. He's got a move. It fell on our lap. That one came out of nowhere. I thought he was selling both.
£4.5 million
in that region. Yeah, I mean, it's a profit, I believe, on what we've paid. Or is it just about broke even?
I think we paid 3.75. So you've taken his wages into consideration. We've got all your money back. We've got everything back, and no harm done.
Yeah. So I'd say it's a bonus for selling.
There'll be a selling clause, by the way.
Probably will be, yeah.
Celtic always have selling clauses. You've got to give them their due. When it comes to selling players, we're proactive as fuck. We're brilliant at that.
Oh, fantastic at that.
We get good structured deals. So I would imagine there's a selling clause. And his stock must be relatively high for it to be that level of Brazilian team that are actually purchasing him. So there'll be other interested parties watching and monitoring that. And then say he goes for 10 million in a year and a half like Giakoumakis did, very quickly after America. If he goes for a 10 million fee of that and you're getting then another million or 2 million in the bank, that's like a 5-6 million sale.
I'd be converting his YouTube highlight reel into Portuguese right now and sending it down there with wee Grigberto Taylor, and get playing that league. And honestly, I'll go on their version of the Boise Bus, whatever that is, like Grigberto. And I'll go on there and I'll be that guy that came on and talked about Nicolas Kuhn, where he's like,
I would love that. I would love that. Our correspondent who regularly features on the Boise Bus, the Celtic podcast, is Liam Greenlaw. Liam, what's your thoughts on prospective target Grigberto Taylor? Hey, brilliant. He's brilliant. He's brilliant.
World class.
He's fucking shite.
There's dark arts involved.
No, I didn't say that.
Greg Taylor was planted in their club to destroy us from within. I really believe he's a sleeper cell. We're right next to Lennox Castle. Read your conspiracy theories, people. It's all there. Research Lennox Castle, Greg Taylor, Liz Fraser, and the cocktail trip. All there.
This is the rabbit hole we've gone down now. Greg Taylor's came so far now, Greg Taylor. This is where we're going with it.
He's even turned that manager against us. That's what he's done.
Oh, I know. So he has when you think about it. Yeah. Mental. And then the story here the next couple of days is he was bothered about it. But the way it came across last Sunday was he was really upset about it. It's like, hey, what's the
only left back in the world who's able to go, I actually just prefer playing midfield, so can I just play in midfield today? And they're like, I need bother, Greg, Grigberto, whatever you say, pal. And big Grigberto just strolls into midfield, putting a tatty out a job. Do you know what I mean? The guy who can actually play amazing. And he starts doing the wee dink balls over the top of defences and that. Greg Taylor in midfield playing the deco role. I'm like, what the
deco role?
He's a pair of white boots away, but I swear to God, playing for Portugal himself, honestly.
He's like a wee river dance version of Luka Modric,
River dance version. Oh, we're going to hell. We are going to hell.
Oh, dear. We love you, really, Greg, honestly.
No, it's only a joke, Greg. And Brendan, if you're watching, sorry.
Yes.
Greg, sorry for being disrespectful. Sorry for being disrespectful.
Oh, I'll show you a bit.
It's going to happen, by the way. He's going to have to turn up in Vancouver, sign for the Whitecaps. A couple other wee transfer rumours, ones to take with a pinch of salt. The winger from Lazio at the start of the season we were linked with seems to be doing the rounds against Sky Sports, so now reporting as well. Gustav Isaacson. Apparently, though, there was no talk of, because I was like, it must be a loan, surely, but apparently there's no talk of a loan. But apparently Lazio's asking price is about 12 million quid. Whether Celtic will pay that, who knows? We may be a big club now, maybe spending big bucks. We keep advertising. We've got money. There's a big sign, pretty much almost as bright as the one over your shoulder, Russell, that says, "We are rich." The Celtic board love to tell us that we are rich all the time. So 12 million quid, honestly. So we'll wait and see. But again, take it tentatively. I see a few Celtic blogs will be putting out there tonight. I say Sky Sports have now got it on their transfer feed. Whether that comes to something, who knows? And of course, his name keeps coming up a lot now. Matthias Visgarden's name is doing the rounds in some corners of the Celtic internet. Again, that name hasn't gone away for about 2 windows now, 3 windows. It keeps coming up. We'll wait and see again. We certainly do need a striker, and we certainly need a winger. And why is that? Because, as it says in the title of the show tonight, Celtic have their wings clipped, because we learned in the press conference today, James Cribbins helped my Bob Russell. We've got no wingers, none. What the hell's going to go on? So yeah, we get confirmed that Kuhn is injured. Obviously, he didn't make the start of the game on Wednesday night. He was announced in the stadium, was in the starting lineup. Then the teams come out, they line up for the kickoff, and then it was like the PA system, substitution for Celtic. Off has come Nicolas Kuhn, and on comes Yang. So actually in the stadium, we were all like, what is going on here? But it turns out he will miss tomorrow's game as well. Just a wee, I think Brendan said after the game it was a thigh strain of some kind, just he'd felt it in the warm-up and they just want to take any chances, but he will miss tomorrow. Daizen Maeda is also going to miss tomorrow. Luis Palma will not even be available. He's had a bereavement in the family, so he's got some leave of absence just now. And James Forrest has been out for the last 6 weeks, so we literally have Yang as the only fit first-team player for tomorrow. So, oh no, we're one step away, Russell, from the Celtic crest on the front of the Daily Record tomorrow, a big crack down it. Club in crisis, injuries, ravaged by injury, but...
I would buy it if I seen that. If it's Yang's the only winger we've got, I actually would buy that paper. And complete endorsement that we are a club in crisis if Yang is the only player we can play wide. That gives me the fear. Whatever Greg Taylor is to Liam, Yang is to me. I don't like to be panning the Celtic team, but it's all fun and games, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. But in real terms, in terms of what he's producing on the park, he is so many miles off being a Celtic player. It's unbelievable. So, jokes aside, yes, there's no agenda against Yang. I'm telling you what, I'm watching, and he ain't producing. He doesn't do what Celtic wingers are there to do. He does. You never see him beat his man. You never see him putting in a clinical cross. You never see him being able to track back the way Maeda and Nicolas Kuhn both can, by the way. Forget their goals and assists this season, which are sensational. How often you've seen them both track back, and Nick Balls is absolutely super. Nick Balls, Diesel. But you know what I mean? It's been absolutely tremendous, that side of it. He gets brushed off the ball. He doesn't have the drive. He gave up at Ibrox when they bent that ball into the far corner in the 3-3 game. He gave up on that. And that was it for me from then. And this season, he has got chance after chance. He's started 7 or 8 games, guys. I'm sorry, but there's so many other players that would love a run of 3 starts in a row that we have got faith in that really can produce and have given evidence when they play for Celtic. They can bring things to the party. He hot at the party and gets chance after chance. And of course, Lady Luck is now shining on him. I was speaking to my mates on Twitter, Andy, and he was saying, is it a chance for Brendan to go, a 4-2-3-1 or a 3-5-2 and do something more direct? Greg, you're not playing centre midfield today. You're playing as a left wing back, or to get Baye to do it, whatever you want. And then a right wing back and Alistair Johnson, who might be a wee bit more defensive minded for it, but good engines you would trust there. We've got a hell of a lot of centre midfielders to crowd that area. No problem at all. Even if it was something like a 3-6-1, because I can't see Brendan playing 2 up top. But you could really, we usually have 6 midfielders anyway, with the fullback. So, I don't see any reason why we can't change formation, other than the fact, as much as the lid has been put on the dramas of the past 7 days, I do think that will make Brendan double down on his tactics now more than ever. That it will be that formation. He ain't going to experiment now that he's put his neck on the line sort of thing and put in such a rebuttal of any criticism of how Celtic have been shaping up recently in terms of their actual style of play. But what will actually factor into that is the whole game plan itself. He is going to not back down, double down on. So it will need to be 2 wingers of sorts. I envisage Yang will start. Fuck knows how. But I do think he'll start. And I think Luke McCowan might start on the right.
Yeah, I've seen a few people in the chat suggesting that because, yeah, in my head, I was trying to figure out what we're going to do. It makes all the sense in the world to change the shape some way, but yeah, I can see Brendan sticking to it. But then the big concern is, okay, we get to a certain point in the game, substitutions. We ain't got any wingers on the bench neither, so what's he going to do there? But yeah, in terms sound angry voice saying, no, he's fine, he's absolutely fine. So he always is, always a bit animated, but no, he's absolutely, he's cool as you like. But yeah, it's the only thing I can think of, Liam, in terms of another player that might have the capability to play it wide. And Russell did highlight McCown there, and some people in the chat have said that Luke McCown played out wide when he was at Ayr United previously, but I was thinking maybe Alex Vallier has a bit of a bit more of an attacking dynamic to him, maybe something like that. Again, all I'm thinking of, he's going to stick to the same formation, the same system. We're going to get to a point in the game where subs are going to need to come on. He's going to want to change it. And if it's Yang that starts, for instance, and let's say he does go with McCown and it's not really working, and he looks to the bench and it's like, what does he do? I mean, it would be, to me, I think he should just change it to an entirely different formation. Right. Just pack the midfield, whatever. I don't think it's, two outsiders. What to do is get the fullbacks to get forward with the wide support. Just have that. I mean, Alistair Johnson likes to roam forward anyway. I would say Greg Taylor, Vallier, one of them plays at left back, whoever it is. Again, get them to get forward for the wide support. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's definitely gave Brendan a bit of food for thought, essentially, for what he's going to do tomorrow, Liam.
Well, that's what I always want to see. I want to see him being brave and confident in his choices, but being imaginative as well. And this just going with be a bit more cavalier as a manager, and actually do something creative like that. Would Vallier play well on that wing? Okay, well, what has he got? I think he's great with the ball at his feet. He's great with first-time passes. We've seen him lay off play in and around that box. It has created goal-scoring opportunities.
He's got 4 or 5 assists this season, Liam, I think.
And he knows how to whip that ball in for the byline. He's got an engine. He's a young boy. Again, this is a perfect opportunity for him. Where else are you going to try that? Because we don't play or experiment with stuff once we get up a few goals. We never change the shape. We never try anything new. And we don't take the opportunity to introduce new players or try new things. So, I mean, where else are we going to see it? I'd love to see that just as my own perspective as a fan. I think Valley's got something. I think he looks a good player. He just has to adjust to Scottish football. I think you're looking at a player very much in the mode of a 19, 20-year-old Petrov. He's got that engine, and I think once he broadens out a wee bit, fills out, and he gets just a wee bit of edge to him, and confidence. He's still young. I think you'll see a real player there. And he's Barcelona, man.
I came through Barcelona's youth academy, and last time we checked, they produced quite a few good ones. So, yeah, I think he's got that attacking ability. So he's got 4 or 5 assists to his name already from getting forward and getting, in the right areas. He, of course, was involved in that brilliant goal at St Johnstone when we done them at McDermott Park. It was him that set up Ida to score it. It get chipped over by McCown, and he'd continued his run, going it back, heeled it right into the path of Ida. In fact, he got an assist on his debut against Falkirk, the game that he got a bit criticised for getting sort of ragdolled by a couple of Falkirk players, but he did get forward and set up Bernardo with a wee cushioned header into his path for the volley. So, yeah, I think he's got that in his game, the attack-minded side of it, so that could be an option tomorrow if Brendan is going to stick to the formation. But Russell, you need to see this one quietly, especially around, Celtic fans out there on Twitter, for example. Kyogo out wide. I know that seems to send a lot of people into meltdown, Russell, that very suggestion. But to me, I think he has all the characteristics of a wee tricky winger, low centre of gravity, skillful, fast. It's like, surely to God, and Tony Haggerty, I've heard him say it before, good players can adapt to other positions and formations. It's like, I'm sure there was evidence to support as well that when he played in Japan for Vissel Kobe, he played as a wide forward. I'm pretty sure he did. So
yeah, he did.
So again, but whenever
and Maeda played through the middle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Maeda played through the middle, and people honestly. So I think people are still spooked by a game at Ibrox like 4 years ago now, where Kyogo played out wide to accommodate Edward in the middle. And it didn't quite work that day because we got beat. But in the end, we went on 1-2 2 trophies that season, won the title. So, you know, who really cares? But I remember the game before that a lot of people completely forget about, where Edouard and Kyogo started. Kyogo played out wide and Edouard was up front, and it was against Hearts in the League Cup. And one of the best goals that we scored under Ange that gets easily forgotten because it was so early probably in his tenure came in that game against Hearts, where it was a great sweeping move all the way up the park. Kyogo and Edouard linked up brilliantly. It was Edouard that finished it. So it's like, I think he's more than capable to play out wide, but it does feel like whenever you suggest that, Russell, especially on a place like Twitter, for example, people are like, no, can't play Kyogo out wide. And it's like, I know, how no? So, yeah, to me, I think that's an option, surely. Oh, mute yourself, Russell.
Right.
I was saying with Mark, sorry about that. I was saying with Mark last night, you know, it'd be nice to see if Kyogo can still strike a ball. You know, it'd be nice to see if he's still actually got any football. I've seen him have about 20 touches in the last year. You know, you don't see him ever, you know, able to dribble with the ball. You don't see him in any sort of space, putting in crosses. So it'd be fun to see if he's still got it, you know, because the only time you see him is popping up with the odd goal now, and it's the odd goal. You've got to be real. His movement off the ball will always get highlighted, and rightfully so if you're going to talk about his good bits. But unfortunately, the cons to Kyogo right now is he's just not involved. So if you put him on the left, it'd be a bit of a change for him seeing the ball as often, because our wingers see the ball a hell of a lot in the way we set up. There'd be a hell of a lot of onus on him if he was playing in the wing to create. But I'd be quite intrigued by it. If you remember last year, there was a couple of games where, particularly Rugby Park strikes me, where Kyogo started with Ida and he played him sort of as the furthest forward of the 3 midfielders, but almost further forward than what our most attacking, our number 10 would normally. It was further forward than that. So he has played him out of position, if you like, you know, previously, Rogers. But I mean, when it comes to the wing positions, if you told me it was going to be Kyogo on the left, McCowan on the right, I can work with that, no problem at all. I can get on board with that, and either through the middle. That would be, to me, a satisfactory outcome for what is a nightmare scenario when our 2 biggest weapons this year are 2 contenders for Scotland's and Celtic's Player of the Year in Nicolas Kuhn and Daizen Maeda. And they are in a tussle for that, by the way. Do not think Nicolas Kuhn's won that hands down yet, because Maeda is going to push him all the way, and vice versa. But them both being out at the same time is a real hammer blow to us. You've got to try and appease it by keeping the level of quality in the side high, not just putting in players like Yang, like it or not, who might play that position on paper, but are such a drop-off that it's actually a hamper to the team. Whereas someone like Kyogo, who maybe doesn't play there as often now, but still has a hell of a lot more quality than Yang, I would rather see out wide. And the same goes for Luke McCowan. Hell of a lot more quality than Yang, might be slightly out of position, but keeps the overall level of the side far higher without that drop-off. And it is falling off a cliff when you're relying on guys like Yang to come in and try and fill these excellent elite players that we've got in Maeda and Kuhn, Celtic level elite. But the drop off when it is the reserve winger in Yang, it's just not good enough. And I think first team regulars playing slightly out of position keeps the overall quality still there for Celtic, and I think that's quite important.
I will, in regards to Yang, and funny enough, at the game on Wednesday night, Mick, obviously our Mick here on the Boise bus, came down to see me at the half time, and we were having a chat about Yang, and he put it perfectly. He said that when he's running directly at somebody, just like running a straight line, you start to think, oh, you know, he looks like he's got something, but he's got no end product at all. Just you know, it doesn't go anywhere. You know, he's got a lot of pace in that, and you think, oh, he's very direct, but then, yeah, nothing comes of it. And it's like, I would rather somebody like McCown, even though he is slightly out of position. And I'm pretty sure as well, there was a moment as well on Wednesday night when some of the subs came on that it did feel like, I think because he took Yang off, we were a bit lopsided. And I think Engels just sort of naturally moved out wide a little bit during the game. Like I was watching where he was playing, and I saw him popping up on the right-hand side a lot for a wee period, maybe like a 15-minute period. So it felt like, you know, they were trying something there, you know, just try to see if he could do it. But, you know, again, if there's somebody that's got a bit of input, because Yang just hasn't just doesn't do it. No, you said earlier on, though, was it 2 goals I think he's got in his Celtic team, which both came last season. And assists-wise, he's just not got, I can't even think of any great assists at all. So I would rather, as you say...
when does he beat a man? He doesn't beat a man.
No.
You know, Luke McCowan, I look at Luke McCowan playing in a completely different position. He beats men regularly. Regularly he's going by players. Yeah. Regularly he's involved. I look at Yang and I go, sorry.
What is that you watch him when he's got no idea how it's going to end. Most people, when they dribble, they know that I get through there, and then there's the opening shoot. With him, it's just straight in and out, and it's just keep dribbling as long as I can dribble till they take it off me. There's no end product.
Yeah, it's
spot on. I don't want it to be a hate fest of what players can't do rather than what players can. But unfortunately, such is the injury crisis that it flags it up, Phil. Do you know what I mean?
It does, aye. And again, it just emphasises that, you know, we need to be looking to strengthen that area. And wouldn't you just add them and leave it? There is a transfer window open right now. Brendan did say in his press conference today, and he did subtly say it on Tuesday's one in the run-up to Dundee United game when he was asked about transfers, and he said, yeah, we're working on some stuff, ins and outs. Of course, he used the term ins as well. So it's like, who's the ins come in? He said today in his presser that he sees like the forward area as a priority, especially the wing. He said the wingers, obviously accelerated by the injuries right now. And, I mean, common sense. Surely he must know that the drop-off is huge. You've got to imagine, especially if Palmer's going to be leaving, we're expecting that as well. James Forrest still injured. Brendan Rodgers is surely smart enough to see that the drop-off in the wingers is there. So he has highlighted that. And he did say as well he wants to try and add more goals, and did also say this was an interesting one because this contradicts a story that we heard many years ago from the chairman Peter Lawwell. He said January is a great window to add goals to your team. I was like, that's funny because Peter Lawwell once for a time told us that January is a hard window to add anything to your team. So read into that what you will.
What season was that? Was that the 16-17 season, 18-19? Was it 19-20? Yeah, take your pick.
The famous quote actually came from the Willow Flood window. It was a Willow Flood one. That's where it originally came from. Peter Lawwell came out after that and said, January's a really hard window to get business done. Then the next January was Tony Mowbray was in charge, and 9 players went out and 7 players came in. Can't have it both ways.
That's right. They were pretty busy then. I think in terms of the winger one, I don't know if it was on your agenda to talk about, is the Royal Antwerp winger. I still think. Yeah. I think that's a person of interest.
Yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Tell me.
Sources say, yes. Green tick in the WhatsApp chat next to it, yes. But yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of it. Somebody in the chat would come and say, but yeah, that one's came up before. And yeah, as I say, much like Vistgarden, the Brøndby striker's name, there's a couple of names that keep doing the rounds when windows are coming up now. And it's like, I wonder. It was like Balakisha or something like that. I think it was pronounced.
Something like that. Yeah. I watched this highlight reel. We all know the YouTube highlight reel. We all do it though, so you're going to watch them anyway. You know it's going to highlight. But he did look the fucking bollocks, man. I liked him. He did look very good.
Yeah, well, obviously, hopefully they are prioritizing. I say Brendan's saying they're working on a few things in the background, ins and outs. So we'll just see what comes of that in the next few days. But yeah, this is, I'd say the next few days. You still got a couple of weeks, but we know how quickly the sands of time in these transfer windows can disappear. 1 minute you're sitting there going, just 2.5, 3 weeks to go, will be fine. And the next thing it's 1 hour to go on deadline night, and we're all pulling our hair out going, where's the players? So yeah, hopefully Celtic are working very hard in the background and doing their due diligence on it. But yeah, it's Ross County obviously tomorrow, a team that we do need to take seriously, Liam, because they're on a wee decent run. Russell actually said earlier on that they are away for them, something like the 1 point of a difference away from Rangers. And funny enough, they got like 9 points of the 13 they've accumulated in just the last 4 games. They beat Aberdeen away, they beat Kilmarnock away, and they beat Dundee away. They drew with Hearts, so they're on a wee 4-game unbeaten run. And the last time we were up there as well at Dingwall, they did make us work for it. And it's the thing is, I find when you look at historically, since Ross County have been a sort of regular in the Premier League, we haven't really gone up there too many times and absolutely brushed them aside like a 5-0 or 6-0 or something like that. 2-1 to Celtic is quite a common thing, and that's what it was early in the season. Of course, there was a very famous one a few years ago under Ange. We all know how that one went with Tony Ralston popping up. They do make you work for it. You know, the pitch is obviously small. It's the fans are pretty much on top of you. The weather conditions are probably not going to lend themselves to the game tomorrow as well. So I know a few people, I've seen some other folk on other podcasts talking about, you know, this is a chance with the league that we've got to try a few different things and whatnot. But I feel like Brendan will play the strongest hand that he's got available from the players. And I don't think now is the time to purposely experiment with, I will throw a wee guy from the B team in here. Don't get me wrong, I think Johnny Kenny, this player might be on the bench because, again, the injuries that are there. He might be an option off the bench. But in terms of like starting anything, I think it is going to be, you've got to show them the full respect, Liam.
I'm hoping Johnny Kenny does get a go. I don't know, I'm starting to look at Ida now and I'm losing hope. I don't have that anticipation of him scoring when I see him starting or coming on there. Just, you know, some players, you know, there's always a chance it can turn the game, you can do something. Like Kyogo's like that to me. Ida, no, I don't know where that's going. So I'd love to see Johnny Kenny getting a run at some point in the game and you know, just Rodgers being ruthless. That see if it's not happening early against them. And you know, like they're pushing us the same way these teams have been, you know, beating our low block. I mean, Rangers really exposed us. That's what I was most annoyed about the whole thing. It exposed how to beat us by passing that first man in the block, how to get in between them, and so that you don't have that. So that back pass is all the time going there, and you're just filling that side in midfield. And I think if they do that to us tomorrow, I think Rodgers needs to change it. And he needs to do it fast, and I think that means stop the inverted fullback stuff. And honestly, if it doesn't look like it's for Ida, get Kyogo on or get John Kenny on and keep Kyogo on the wing. If that's how you be ruthless.
Yeah, have we seen enough of Ida in the away fixtures starting? He does seem to when he gets his start. I could be completely wrong. Again, I don't have any stats to hand.
I mean, if you can't do it at home, can you do it away?
But I think it's a different dynamic, mate. I think this is actually, you're leading on to my point. I think the dynamic at home has been pretty unfruitful for both the strikers, to be honest with you. And I think the setup is undeniably even more about the 2 banks of 5 for the away side at Celtic Park than what it is in the home game. Is they do have a wee bit more impetus. They do come out a bit more. And I don't know, my memory of him last year, or last season, the last 6 months, is those big goals away from home. They're the ones that stick out to you. It's the away goals that you think of. And yet I could be totally wrong, but it's my memory seems to tell me, you know, my mind might be playing tricks on me. But the games, the rare sporadic starts that he's got and the lack of run in the team that he's had, but when he has started games, I'm sure it's been more at home fixtures. I'm quite intrigued to see Ida start away from home and maybe a bit pumped up. I tell you one thing that I don't think suited him either. I think that the competition's not suited him in terms of how far ahead we are. He had real purpose when he came in last time, and it was nip and tuck.
He keeps through Norwich, Boise. Norwich. I mean, first time you've seen a W, you know.
That's what I'm saying. But I think last season,
an upside down M. What's that doing? Wins. Norwich. Culture of winning. Geese piece.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the last goal he scored away from home, I'm just guessing here, was that Motherwell game where he took a really bad injury with the but he came off the bench that day. He came off the bench at Tannadice a few weeks ago and we drew 0-0. And when he came on, we actually looked like we had a bit more purpose because Kyogo also stayed on. The two of them were on at the same time. But then, like, you know, you made the point on the PMP after the Rangers game. You know, he's getting like 20 minutes here and there. He comes on in a scenario where we're 2-0 down to Rangers and just looked just way off it. So it's like people, I don't know, it's like people are just a bit skewed at the moment how they're able to judge him because I think he's getting put into some bad scenarios at the same time. You're not getting to see the best in him, but as you say, you do get starts. And when he's been playing at home recently, he's not even been doing it in league games. He scored against Ross County in the 5-0 game the last time we played them at Celtic Park. And I think that might be his last goal at home. It's
is it not that colour? That's that colour in the top bins.
I was against Ross County. We were 5-0
Was
up
that
at half
raw?
time.
Right,
It
sorry,
ended
sorry,
5-0.
sorry.
And it ended 5-0.
That's right. I hate when that happens. It always happens.
Absolutely.
But I would like to see I'd like to see his contribution tomorrow if he's given the nod on my right and Kyogo goes in the wing. I've got a feeling we won't see Kyogo in the wing, albeit I would be an absolute advocate for it. And it means seeing the two of them on the park at the same time. We've got no idea if these guys have any sort of chemistry and training or nothing because you just so rarely see them together. And one of the things that gets me with the one striker up top is there is examples this season where we could gamble and go two. There's plenty of reasons when we're trying to unlock the door that we could be doing that. And I do find it fascinating that in all the games we've had this season and all the domination we've had, all the periods of time we've been afforded a chance to experiment, if you want to call it that, we've not been able to put two strikers up top together at any point in time. And to me, that just feels like utter stubbornness. And I do think it's a in vogue thing that's went on, and I think it'll fade out eventually. I do think we will see signs that two strikers might work again. But do you not find it fascinating, Liam, that we've never seen Kyogo and Ida just start as a strike partnership up top at all together?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get Rodgers. Why wouldn't you? And especially the way when we were looking at defenders, right? We're suited for three at the back right now because Johnson sort of looks and carries himself as a centre back at times as well. You know, Greg doesn't he? Like a Walt Disney. But anyway,
Deco.
But I think we suited like playing three at the back, especially when we're in Scotland as well. When we're, you know, it's one way to beat that press all the time. And I don't know. I think there's a culture of snobbery about trying to play like an over-attacking version of football, that somehow there has to be this build-up, this inverting your fullback on this, that, to overload and this and that. And it's like, no, you know what? You play it by play, you know, especially if you're a team like Celtic and you've got a power guy like Ida, power through the middle and have the small guy clean up. And it's an ideal partnership. It's very much Larson Sutton. All you have to do is look at our history and to see other times as that has worked effectively. I mean, don't look no further back than when we had Eddie and Griffiths.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah, that was class too.
Agreement for it. But everybody was saying, start the two together, get that going. Because we were going through that same negative time-lapse thing that we're doing again now, where we seem to be we're building that horseshoe. It's a wee bit more dynamic this time. There's an extra move added, but it's still that horseshoe that creeped into Rodgers' second season. And
yeah,
we need to get it, but
well, we have to give credit to when Lennon did that with the two up top, because
Aye.
that actually breathed life into that. I think that running that season for Celtic, that's how we ended up so far ahead that Rangers ripped their pitch up and protested, you know, what was going on.
The football we were playing
then,
from that spell, that January to March, before everything, we were
class.
brilliant. Absolutely. I remember a game
next.
down at Motherwell. We went down to Motherwell and tanked them like 4-0 on a Saturday night game, and we were unbelievable that night.
Yeah.
Olivia Ncham was an unsung hero in that team, sitting in the midfield. Oh, it was field play to Neil Lennon, who doesn't get enough credit for things like that, you know. Everyone thinks about a dinosaur and stuff like that, and it's like, no.
He was willing to change it. Yeah. And he was willing to move away from someone like Rodgers, who had the Invincibles, then another treble, then he'd left obviously all on course for another treble. So to change that took balls as well. Because people like just come in, steady the ship, and he actually came in and went, actually, it is a bit dull right now. We are a bit flat. Have a bit of that. And that point in Lennon's, that was Lennon's first full season back, wasn't it? And that was the second half of it. That was somebody took his medicine after he lost the derby, didn't he, at New Year?
We beat them in the cup final by the skin of our teeth, and that was a warning sign, and then they beat us at Celtic Park 2 weeks later. Yep.
Is that an example of someone who taken their medicine at that point and going, which is actually far removed from what he did in the COVID season, if I'm honest, just for balance. But at that moment in time, he took his medicine. He went, right, okay, I'm back to the drawing board here. What can I do with this?
Yeah.
You know, and he thought strategically about it. And the two up top worked. And I also look at the recent defeat we had, and I think to myself, right, Rangers are pressing us high in the midfield. Undeniably, the midfielders are having a mare here. The passing triangles that we're trying to do around Rangers when they're rampant like this ain't going to work. Imagine just taking one midfielder out. It makes no odds. You put the two up top, and you just go back to front. You get it up to Ida, and as you say, Liam, a flick on. See if we can't find Kyogo with passes. We might find him with a ricochet. We might find him with a defensive blunder, and it might just fall into his path because he's making all these crazy runs off the ball. You get it up there, and he gets a wee flick on. It might, whatever. I just think styles make fights, and we just played our own. We did our own fight against a completely different type of opposition, last Thursday, and we came a cropper. And I do look, as I say, just to go back to my original point, I don't understand how we've got a 9 million striker and a guy who's scored 20 goals, 34 goals, 19 goals in his Celtic career, and we can't find a way to see those two in the same team. I just find it bonkers. In fact, it's baffling to me that there's not been at a moment, especially when we're 15 points clear. Bizarre.
Yeah, again, everything in football is just all about systems nowadays. That's the word these days. Systems. I said to Liam last week, I'm saying individuality has gone from, what a deal this is. Liam, how does this tickle your fancy? A Rangers fan in the chat has offered us the deal of the century, mate. Says, loves the show. We will take Ida. You have Dessers. What do you think of that, Liam?
Nice to have you on, by the way, Gazers. Nice one.
Tell you what, we'll keep the Scottish Cup, League Cup, all that. You keep the Loving Cup. Is that? See when they go under Boise, and we eventually do Boise's wish, and it goes like massive viral and all that, right? And we get all the money. Honestly, I think it's mental. If we don't go into Ibrox, buy that Loving Cup and get it into Terry's trophy collection. That's my Boise's wish.
Oh, Boise's wish. But anyway, no, welcome aboard, guys, and I'm glad you've been enjoying the show. That I do appreciate that. But no, for me, it'll be, albeit I'm sure Dessers has more goals than he did this season. I would still be, I'd be keeping Adam before I went for Dessers. Although I tell you, a player I would swap Ida for. That'd be that Igamani. Definitely. I would swap them right now.
Quite lively.
You wonder with players like that if they'll have a wee spell, and then they might come the end of the season. You go, oh, remember that month where Igamani was amazing? But honestly, my gut tells me when I've watched him, he'll do okay. I think he'll do okay for them. But I also think, and I do watch their games, by the way. There's no get away from that. I do. It's buy one, get one free right now. It's, you watch Celtic scalp a team, and the next day you get to watch Rangers drop points against one. It's fucking fantastic. It's buy one, get one free. But there is undeniably, in my opinion, a bit already of a reliance from them on, could you do something? I think he's only about 20 years old. And it does seem like they're already now just looking at him and fingers crossed, hoping and praying Igamani just does something. There's no game plan with them. And for all we can criticise some of the things we have tonight, in my humble opinion, you always know Celtic's game plan is in front of you. Whether you like it or not, it's something else. But there is undeniably a strategy. There is a purpose to what we are doing. At what speed we do said purpose is maybe a bone of contention, but there is an identity. That was what I was looking for. There's an identity to it. They are hitting and hoping, and now pinning all their hopes on a guy because he's got a cluster of goals in a small period of time. But it's a hell of a lot of weight to be putting on one player's shoulders. And luckily, what we have got at Celtic, whilst we've been criticising the strikers, Phil, lack of goals. One thing that is good about that is we don't rely on one individual in this team. Oh, but we'll find out now. It might be just two, though, we don't rely on. We'll find out now when Nicolas Kuhn and Maeda aren't in the team. But in my honest opinion, I do think that's one of the beauties of Rodgers' sides. And Angie's was kind of like that as well, to be fair. I hate being fair. But it was that there was never just relying on, just come up with something. Do something for us. It did feel like we could get a goal. If we were to get a goal, you could go like that and pick and write down and pick a name out of a hat as to who said goal scorer would be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, we've definitely got threats all over the park. We've also been cashing in on set pieces a wee bit this season as well. I think we've got 5 or 6, which is a big number for us, to be fair. Usually we're not very good fans, so we've also got that now in our locker. We seem to have the ability now to actually score corners, which could help us as well, because again, with these types of stodgy games against these teams on their own ground, you've got to cash in on your set pieces. So I'd like to think that we're starting to turn the corner there with Trusty scoring one a day. Obviously, Liam Scales has nodded in a few. Carter Vickers has nodded one in. You'll get the centre backs up. Midfield this season, Callum McGregor's clearly been told to. He's got it in his locker. He's shown it this season. The amount of times that I've watched over the years, Brendan's first spell, and obviously this second spell, the amount of times you just keep passing for the sake of passing. Where I sit at Celtic Park, perfect view down the pitch towards the Lisbon Lions end, and you can see it open up in front of the players sometimes. And Callum McGregor was one of the biggest offenders for looking for an extra pass, keeps looking for an extra pass. But this season, it's no coincidence that Brendan Rodgers has clearly got in his head and said, you've got the ability to shoot from there, and he's became a really dangerous weapon for us outside the box. So he says he's got 5 or 6 this season where he's pinged it in from outside the area, did it against Hibs, did it against Rangers, one against Kilmarnock where there's probably a cross, to be honest, but he found the back of the net, done it against St Mirren as well. So he's got that in his locker. So we have got threats from all over the park. Luke McCown has chipped in with some goals and all. But yeah, tomorrow will be an interesting test though, given how good Maeda and Kuhn have been. That's going to be interesting because this will be the first game I think this season where we haven't played both of them from the start. At least one of them's always made the starting 11. I'm pretty sure when one's been injured. So this will be the first time with the numbers they've been putting up. This will be a very interesting acid test tomorrow to see how they cope with that one. I'd still think we should have enough. But before we go to the predictions for it, we will revisit from the start of the show, and there's 138 still watching. But yeah, if you're tuned in late, obviously I do my guess the player from the start of the show. So this week's hidden player behind the Boise Bus logo, let's have a wee look. And of course, it's done by his career. He has played for Celtic, Leeds, Hibs, Hamilton Academical. Then he went to Kilmarnock and he finished up at Clyde. Liam, I have a funny feeling you're going to know who this is. So Liam, put me out of my misery. Who's behind the Boise Bus logo?
Is that Eddie Gray?
Not, mate. No, it is not. But look at the shot, mate. Look at the shot. It's in an era that you know very well.
I know.
No,
Oh, mate. I'm going to come to you for your memory on this guy because I know what your memory is going to be. It is, and a few people got it in the chat, it's George McCluskey. Now, Liam, if I said to you, what is your lasting memory of George McCluskey, would it involve the 1980 Scottish Cup final by any chance?
Aye, it would be. I did that game.
Because you were at that game, yes. Aye. And what happened in that game?
It was a wee bit of fisticuffs at full time. Horses involved in everything. Usually, quiet in football. These horses were caused trouble that day.
He looks. Go bring him back up, Phil. He looks so friendly.
Look
how friendly Big George McCluskey. He just looks so friendly. Just like, Big McCluskey up for just a big friendly striker. Love it.
Well, the thing is, obviously we've all seen the goal, and Liam was at the game as well, and many people in the chat as well, they'll remember it. But obviously Danny McGrain thought scuffs one from outside the area late in extra time, and George McCluskey just sticks his leg out and it deflects it past. I want to say McCloy was in goal for Rangers, puts it into the opposite corner. Celtic scoring like the 119th minute extra time. They win 1-0. It was quite warm that day, a lot of alcohol going on, and because of that, alcohol is not allowed in football stadiums in Scotland because of what happened after that game, because tensions boiled over. Now, we've talked about this before. Liam was not on the park, he tells me. I believe him. I'll take his word for it.
Oh no, I was with my two uncles, and we had just came for a Holy Communion, so we were wearing the tin flutes and all that. So it wasn't cops, detectives or something. But Christ, trying to get him to Castlemilk that night for Hampden Park. They shut all the buses down. Taxis wouldn't go up there. Nobody had cell phones. There wasn't any pubs in the, like phones in the pub that you could use and that. It was like just 80. And it was like it was crazy. It was like the Warriors trying to get him.
Ian McIntosh just came in with a memory. It's not necessarily Celtic, but I've seen this tackle. Souness booked him. So I said he played for Hibs. It was Hibs that Rangers were playing in that game when Souness goes in with a really high tackle. He gets sent off for his debut when he became player manager at Rangers. It was George McCluskey that he tackled.
Oh, was that?
That's who it was, yeah. Ian McIntosh saying there. Maybe his debut for the old dead club. But yeah, I've seen that tackle before. It's infamous, but he goes in really high above the knee and looks surprised when he gets sent off. And it's like, are you kidding me? you joking? You see that tackle? It was reckless as fuck, man. But yeah, because John McCloskey, he's the one before my time, but I've always seen that goal for the Scottish Cup final, the famous one. He just sticks a leg out, and it doesn't matter how the ball gets in the net, as long as it gets in the net. And yeah, he was the one that was on the end of that. Danny McGrain, thunder bastard from outside the area, Liam. Certainly was at the pace of one. Okay, so before we go, folks, because we've done an hour and 15 now, it's been a good Friday. It's been a lively one as well. A lot of people watching. So thank you for choosing us on Friday night. I know Friday night's going to be busy on the old Celtic YouTube. So thanks for coming on and watching the bus. But before we go, Liam, what's your predictions for tomorrow then against Ross County?
Okay, I think we have to come out flying, send a message again. But I think it's going to be hard. I think we've got a goal or two in us. I'm going to say 3-1.
3-1.
3-1 we're going to win. I still think we're going to win. We've got the team, no matter how many injuries we have. So 3-1.
Okay, 3-1. Russell, what's your scoreline prediction for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we'll concede. I think it will be 2-1. And I think that you were saying that would be a regular score, but I do think it will be a 2-1 for Celtic. But I think we'll get 3 points. Yeah,
so a score that we tend to have a lot up there. But hey, as long as they get the points on the board, that's all that matters at this stage. I'll go for 2-0. I'll say 2-0 for Celtic tomorrow. And a few people in the chat, Liz Donnelly says 2-0. Pato says 2-1. Ralston late winner. Where have we've lived this chapter before, I'm pretty sure. We've been there with that one. Yes. David McMenemy, he says 4-0. I hope so, man. Good. James Kennedy's saying 3-0 as well. So yeah, Michelle saying 2-1 Celtic. 5-0 Charles Smith. There we go. 5-0 to the Celtic. So yeah, we will head off, folks. I hope you enjoyed this Friday feeling episode. Thanks for joining us, Russell, as well.
Thank you, Phil.
It's been a busy week on the Boise Bus. 5 nights in a row. We're on a hot streak here, and we're back tomorrow. Obviously, PMP will be on tomorrow, Russell. So that'll be 6 days.
I'm going to do a Sunday blether. I've said I'll do a Sunday blether midday. Just bringing back the old school, mate. And then Mark's going to do a Monday club, so that's you 8. If you do the Tuesday ticket, that's 9. We've got a midweek game Wednesday, PMP, that's 10. We've got a midweek
game on Tuesday, haven't we? We're not playing
Tuesday, sorry. Is it Tuesday?
So Wednesday, when you think something for Wednesday?
Wednesday might break the cycle. Wednesday could break the cycle.
Let me see what I can do for a Wednesday.
Right, pal. No bother. Always welcome.
It's busy on the bus, so make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go if you haven't done so yet, because there's lots coming up on the bus. And yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, folks. It's been a fun one as always. And yeah, enjoy the game tomorrow. Hopefully another rousing victory for Celtic, another 3 points on the board. And yeah, it could be minus 18 in certain parts of Glasgow come 3 o'clock tomorrow. Wrap up warm. It's chilly out there. We'll catch you later, folks.